Hi, welcome to the IDEA Virtual Academy. This time the session is called IDEA Administrator Basics, Settings, Permissions and Further Things to Know. I'd like to introduce you to the most important things to know to make sure that you use the IDEA software to its full. My name is Tobias Allebrot. I'm Managing Director of IDEA Data Solutions, and I hope you'll enjoy the presentation, and I'm happy to answer all the questions afterwards. So why is this session so important? The answer is quite easy. This session allows you to make sure that you are aware why, for instance, efficient permission settings are so important, how data is preserved better, and why only authorized members can perform certain actions inside the data. But let's us start in the beginning. As soon as you start the software in your browser, you already get some important information. First of all, the last backup, when it has been done. Is it necessary to do another one? Decide yourself. With a quick click on the license information, you get more information about the license currently installed on your system. As you can see, this is a demonstration version of IDEA. It has a very unreasonable GUID, which is 000 and 99 licenses, whereas one is currently used for mobile devices. Furthermore, it gives you all the modules which are currently accessible in your system, who is logged in, and if there are demonstration modules temporarily available for you. Please note that might be different if you are just using a standard software instead of a full-blown system like our demonstration. Let's compare this with another database. Here you can see just the basic modules, for instance, and a different GUID for sure. But let us start with the demonstration database. First of all, you have to log into the system. To adapt the software fully to your needs, you have to adjust some settings. First of all, you should manage the departments and the related role on board. You can find this via Manage Departments and Positions. As you can see here, we have currently 8 different departments, from administration over deck, engine, financial, galley guest, interior and medical. These departments have a direct relation to the vessel's database, can be seen here. This is, for instance, important if someone would like to log the related domain against the use of other departments. Additionally, you can then define the related positions and roles. Starting with roles, you can see that any role is related to a department. And furthermore, any position can be related to different roles. This way, you can generate a matrix organization which fits for any kind of administration for any kind of boat. As the department role position system is a vital part for the workflows, you can also find here the workflows for all ISM modules. Pretty easy, for instance for safety documents, who is allowed to approve a document to bring it from the state of draft into the state of approved. You can see currently this is allowed for captain and superintendent. Surely you can get more information in the related ISM session of this academy. Why does a boat needs multiple departments and multiple positions and multiple roles? The answer is quite easy. All of these are related to the permission management. The permission management can be found inside the settings and manage permissions. As you can see, any module has an expression inside the permission management. Let's switch to one of the more complex modules, like maintenance, for instance. As you can see, the permission management is divided in readable information and writable information. And there is permission granted in green, permission denied in gray, and permission inactive in case the permission is inactive totally. All the related lines inside, in this case, the maintenance permissions, you can see what is allowed and what is not allowed for any of the roles you can see here. For instance, can create history in a locked domain, the functionality I've shown before. It's just possible for currently the superintendent, the head of department engineering, and the head of department DEC. Anyone else needs the permission of the related heads or the superintendent. If you find any time inside the software a strange behavior of the software, this is most probably related to a permission you are missing and some of your colleagues having due to different roles and different positions. Now, it is also easily understandable that you need a head of a department to make sure you can divide the related manager of a department and the normal crew working with each of the department's functionalities. The next important point of the software are the general settings. Also, these can be found inside the settings section via system settings. First of all, there's a bunch of functionalities which are really important. Link-only documents. This functionality allows you to link documents while growing a database with certain manuals without each document uploaded immediately. You have to get in contact with the IDEA support to get a bunch of documents uploaded in a zip file, for instance, to make sure that you don't wasting time by waiting for each individual upload every time. Also here, you are allowed to activate subdomains. Please be aware, you can't redo this functionality. Once activated, these subdomains stay activated over the lifetime of the vessel, if not taken back by the IDEA support. Subdomains adding another level in between the domains and the groups, which can be found inside the vessel database to add an extra level of complexity here in between. Going back to the settings. You can allow to show the name on the login screen of the vessel, which is very easy to have, for instance, for a local installation, and might be considered if you are using an online version of IDEA data. As you have seen, we have currently checked the last backup date on login screen to make sure that the related personnel is aware if a backup was made and when. The disable session testing is an IDEA internal setting. It allows a browser to check if the session is still active and keep it valid. In case you work with 2 less licenses and you would like to get everyone who is not active gets logged out automatically, please set the setting to enable. There is a personal shopping cart functionality you can enable here, and you can disapprove the creation of users without a password. Also, you can choose if purchase orders are automatically closed, or for instance, if the item price for perform maintenance is automatically added. You can choose if there is a simply spare card barcode, or if there is a hidden rounds layout, if you'd like that. This makes sense, for instance, if you use the rounds module in the IDEA mobile app on smaller devices, like for instance mobile phone, or if you are very confident to find any entry point on a well-known vessel. The standard's currency can be defined, and you can also put in a standard billing address for your purchase and spare part management. These addresses can be managed inside the home menu and the address book. Just go in, choose either by alphabetical order or by category, go into the related category, put in the company's name, and add the address. Now you can define all details. You can decide to write an email, open a web page directly out of it, or set different kind of remarks. Let's go back to the settings. The next setting is the so-called default storage. If you're using the related purchase management of IDEA, it is possible to put all new spare part into a default storage, perhaps your main storage room. The next functionality is added for the Logbook module. If you're adding a component into a Logbook module, you can choose if there is a standard component group it is part of. You'll get all these details in the presentation of Sebastian Salmon. You also can hear inside this academy regarding the log and round module in detail. Here you can find the cover picture. You can find as soon as you start the related software, most probably a picture of a yard. You can choose a layout drawing to get added, which can be seen inside the components, for instance to add location in. And for each report you are printing, you can decide to have a header and a footer. Just update in case you would like to, upload a related picture, center the image if necessary, and from that moment every report you are printing seems to be pretty much custom. The next functionality is a little bit more tricky. What is an onboard status if not on board? Quite easy. If you use, for instance, the crew and guest module and you'd like to print crew list, there should be a possibility to choose in advance which related state is related to on board. So you might have different states, not just on board, but perhaps also on watch. In this case, there shouldn't be just on board, but also on watch. The next time you are printing a crew and guest list, it shows all personnel or guests which are currently on board state or currently in the on watch state. The same background is the crew reminder status. The crew reminder status might be just applicable for persons which are definitely on board. But some of the crews are so large and big that you would like to see also the state of the persons which are currently perhaps on holiday, or currently disembarked, or on vacation. And in this case, you might like to add the related state into this as well to make sure you get also reminders for crew which is currently on vacation. You can define the weight units in gram or any other related measurement inside the database. You have crew certificates. You make sure that the warning level is going to yellow or red or green, depending on the dates you would like to see inside. You have different kind of login modes. The normal login mode is drop-down related, but you could also ask the related user to sign in by its username. Keep in mind that this functionality is a very heavy security feature which results in a different kind of login screen. Let's switch over to a database which is currently using the login name. As you can see here, we just have a username and a password. As there is no given password for myself, the administrator, just press login. This can be changed inside the crew and guest database at the related person at the setting of login name. In this case, you also can see there's a difference at the modules and also at the settings if you haven't got purchased the full-blown system, as you can see inside the demonstration version which was using before. But the last two settings are related to password. In this case, the complexity settings, minimum password lengths. So this setting will force users to have a password of at least, let's say 9, 10, 11 characters length, and how many characters you at least need, which are not alphanumeric. The last thing is the purchase order default note. If you have something you'd like to display on any purchase order, please use this related field to write down whatever you'd like to. Oops, sorry. And in this case, as soon as you save it on any purchase order, you'll see the related comment. As soon as all settings are now done according to my needs, I can start with building up the database itself. This starts always with the crew and guest database. The crew and guest database allows me to specify the team I'm working with. I can either add users here inside the title of the crew and guest database, but also inside each folder. Then it is just generated, this crew member is just generated inside the related folder. So if I'd like to have a new crew member, for instance Onboard, I put in the related name and last name, put in a password and a related position for this. Let's say laundry person. As you can see, pre-chosen is a state Onboard, because we currently are inside the Onboard folder. Let's choose another chief engineer. Oh, the entered passwords are not equal, so this is the warning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we are. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is not a real password. So every one of you should go to the software security session if you consider this as a valid password for your database. This session is done by my colleague Christian Mühle as manager of our PD, the most professional person I know to teach you about the current threats and cybercriminality. But let's go back to the core of our session. We now generated a new chief engineer named Tom Jones. What are the next things? We could now log in as Tom Jones. So, logging out, choosing Tom Jones, and logging in again. As you can see now, there is a warning displayed that I haven't got a login name yet. What happens if someone is switching the system from top-down into login name login? This way, I remember to put in a login name for me. Please note that this is the security section. I don't have to do it. Normally, it is definitely very much recommended. Let's go back to the home screen to see the difference of your newly signed in crew member and a customized home screen. This, for instance, is a feature which allows you, if it is switched on, to see all related information from, for instance, in this case, the virtual academy we're currently attending. Just close it and it will never appear again. This is the home screen. It looks differently than the one before when I was logged in as a system administrator. To make sure I can use the system to its full intent, I should see here all vital information for my position. But let's get things sorted. Do I need the news? Most probably not. Why not minimize them? Do I need an overview about my modules? Who knows? Better not. Do I like to see the welcome screen? No. Now I see just the cover picture and my related messages inside the system. I can click on Customize my page and check if I'd like to get them back by, in this case, German wiederherstellen, or if I delete that by löschen. I now delete that and choose for the related demonstration now just the reminders and the key performance indicators. And I'd like to see them on the left side. There they are. As you can see, I haven't defined any performance indicator yet, nor any reminder. So let's start with the performance indicators. I close the customization mode and open the settings with my KPIs. On this side, I can see which KPI is already in my system. It starts, for instance, with maintenance in my case, it goes via stock control to purchasing, etc., etc. I can now choose the related KPI which is of interest for me. As an engineer, for instance, critical maintenance tasks overdue or non-critical maintenance tasks overdue are of interest for me. So I mark them and go back to the home screen. As you can see now, I have now direct access to this vital information. To show you the next functionality, I have to log out and log in as an IDEA database administrator again. I have now access to the related module, which allows me to customize the reminders, the Manage Reminder functionality. According to the permission management, I have now access to allow or not allow any of the reminders inside the system to different roles. If I now would like to see some of the department engineering reminders for documents, I can activate them here and save them accordingly. The same is for maintenance. As you can see, all maintenance reminders are already part for the head of department engineering. Logging out again and logging in as Chief Engineer Tom Jones. I can now start inside the settings sections in the My Reminder functionality. All reminders which are now available for my position and my role can now be seen here, and I can decide which of these reminders in detail I'd like to see on my startup screen. So in this case, I decide, for instance, I'd like to see all overdue planned tasks for all departments and all overdue unplanned tasks for all departments, as I'm responsible for anything technical on the vessel. This might differ on your side. I now save the reminders and switch back to the home screen. Now, also these vital information can be easily seen by myself as soon as I log in. This way, you make sure that on any position of the vessel, yourself can make sure you see all important information for yourself. Nearly at the end of the introduction to all administration features of the basic IDEA software, you have seen there's one module I haven't deleted from my home screen as I consider it as important. It is the so-called notification indicator about the internal messages which have been sent. Internal messages are messages from the system to you, which inform you about certain information and certain actions which have been taken in various modules of the system. Let's take a look where I can put in the related information. You can find the related information notification system inside the home menu at Notifications. As you can see, there are currently no notifications. Let's now switch to the administrator again to make sure I have the user rights to change everything I'd like to. Also, the notification settings can be found inside the settings section at Manage Notifications. Firstly and most important are the notification groups. According to the needs of the boats, I can define several groups. Let's define a group for approved documents for safety documents. Now I can define who should be part of it. Let's choose at least the superintendent and chief engineer for this demonstration. As you can get from the title, I put in a notification group which might be related to the safety documents. This is now related to the workflow. Let's go to the safety documents, and as you can see here, as I've already shown you, the different activities which can be done inside, for instance, the safety documents. For demonstration purposes, I will now change this every time to the related notification group I put into the system. Now I'll switch over to the related ISM module and take a look for some of the documents. Here, for instance, is a document which have been issued and confirmed completely. Let's go into it and cancel it, for instance. Whatever this makes inside the system can be seen in the ISM session, which is also be done by me later in this day or tomorrow, as far as I'm aware. Let's check what happened now to the chief engineer. Logging in as Tom Jones again. You can see that there's now one message in my inbox. Going to the related notifications, I can see that there is a new information from the user administrator. As you recall, I was administrator when I cancelled the document, and it informs me that the status of the document SMS 1.3 is changed to cancel. There are so many places inside the software where these notification features can be done. You'll also find these, for instance, in the logbook, as soon a reading is increasing above a certain value, as a so-called expression. This can be, for instance, get explained by Mr. Sebastian Salmon in a different session about logbooks. As a basic information for notifications, this should be enough. One important thing I'd like to share again is the functionality of backups. As you have seen, we have the backups already mentioned inside the startups. Here you can see currently 4 backups which have been successfully created. Let's switch to the IDEA Database Administrator, as obviously I'm missing some user rights. Now you can see there are several things I'm allowed to. There are scheduled jobs, database backups, full backups, and XML dumps to extract all data from my database into a certain common format. This way, I can also create scheduled jobs. For instance, for database only, documents only, or full database, which means documents and database. Daily, weekly, first of month, and the related time when I'd like to do it, to make sure that no one is disturbed by the loss of speed the database will significantly show. This way, you make very sure that you'll never lose any data again. Please keep in mind that also these backups have to be backed up. That means if you have a local hard drive and you'd like to get defense against, for instance, a fire on board, please upload this to a so-called cloud service or anywhere which service you trust. As you have seen, inside the settings section there is a last feature I'd like to show you. This is related to drop-down fields. There are various possibilities inside the software to have drop-down fields available. Let's check just the general section. Crew and guest we already talked about. In this case, the status was disembarked, dismissed, on board, on vacation, or resigned. Let's see if I'd like to have a status now which is on watch. Now also this data is available for all my crew. The same for countries, inventory units, currencies, address categories, and various other things inside the software. If you're ever looking for changing some of the drop-down fields, please be so kind just to go through the general fields or the related specific drop-down fields for the related modules. Last but not least, you most probably would also like to work with the mobile app. Also, the mobile app is maintained here inside the system. Just click Manage Mobile Devices and you can register new devices. Please keep in mind that any registered device takes away one license from the available license of your license server. As you recall, the number of licenses can be seen at the login screen inside the license information. Let's sign in one device. Going back to the settings, Manage Mobile Devices, just click New Device. And put in a description if necessary. From now on, inside the mobile application, you can start the registering process by just scanning this related barcode. Thank you very much for being with me for this whole presentation, which might be sometimes a little bit boring. Nonetheless, it is very important to make sure that every one of you is aware as soon as you have to host a system like IDEA. I hope you like what you have seen and you'll also be part of one of the next sessions inside the IDEA Virtual Academy. Thanks for your attention. Have a pleasant and very good day. My name was Tobias Allebrot and I was the managing and I am the managing director of IDEA. Cheers, bye bye.